Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to do another girl talk topic. Obviously, guys can tune in as well, but a lot of these videos are going to be geared towards women to help empower them and make you feel good about your decisions. So for today's topic, I'm going to do a video on how to get over a situationship. So I was laying in my bed the other night scrolling TikTok, and I just came across this video of this girl saying how she's been in this relationship, non-relationship, essentially a situationship is what people call it these days, with this guy for the last year and a half, and how she was saying, she was like making jokes about it, but she was just saying how she knows she's the main biatch, but there's like other side women as well, and all these things, how she's doing all this work for him, she's doing his laundry, she's letting him borrow her toothbrush, just like all this stuff, but basically without the title, without him committing to her, and essentially he's just kind of doing whatever with whatever girls he wants, but then it's always going back to her. And I was just reading through the comments of that, and all these girls were like, oh my gosh, I'm in the same situation, and I've been on and off with this guy for like 5 years, 8 years, a few months, a year, whatever it is, and how painful it was, and how confusing and heartbreaking and all these things. And I was just reading through it, and I was like, dang, like there's just so many women out there that are in this type of scenario, and to a lot of people, obviously it is very confusing and it's just so hurtful. Like I feel like it just literally puts holes in your soul. And with that, I was thinking how I wanted to empower women that if you are in the situation where there is a man or boy, I'd say, in your life who's just kind of stringing you along but doesn't have it in him to make that commitment to you, but is basically just taking everything a girlfriend or a wife status would give him, I think you should instant dump him. But I just came up with 8 practical things to do to sort of end it, but then mostly how to move past it, because you are worth so much more than a situationship. Granted, I know that it can go both ways. Sometimes it is maybe the girl who doesn't want to commit and is just sort of stringing the guy along, but statistically it is usually the girl, and the girl is the one getting hurt, the girl is the one with the feelings attached, and the guy just doesn't really care. He's just getting whatever he wants from it. And yeah, that's not fair, and that's not okay. And again, you deserve so much better. So I'm gonna go through these 8 things to help all my lady friends out there. Number 1, I said, is to have the conversation with him. So with that, I would just basically say, since this isn't going anywhere, and whatever you want to say with that you're done with it and you're not interested in pursuing this relationship any longer. And you don't have to be really rude about it or mean. You could just say, I wish you well, take care, but I'm out. End it immediately and be done. Number 2 has to do with social media. I know a lot of girls, I feel like it's definitely a younger girl thing. We're all here, girls like blocking and unblocking and blocking and unblocking, or deleting and not deleting, just like back and forth, and that's just so toxic. That's so, like, the guy doesn't care. So I would just, if you need to block him once just to be done, block him once. Do not add him back and block him and then add him back and then block him like 17 times. Do not do that. But if you don't want to block him and you're cool with having him on your medias, do not check up on him. Try your hardest just to not go to his page. If you need to mute him, mute his posts, mute his stories, whatever you have to do. Just, his life is none of your business anymore. If there isn't a future between you two, you don't need to know. And the more you check up on him, the more you look at things and see what he's doing and like what people he's friends with, all these things, the more it's going to trigger those emotions, and the harder and longer it's going to take for you to get over him. And so, like I said, if you gotta block him, block him. If you have to delete him, delete him. But if not, just try your best not to look at his stuff. And I know that that will help the process a lot. Number 3, I wrote journal about why it didn't work out and what you didn't like about him. Sometimes I think we can live in the highlight reel. Anytime something ends, then we just look back at it and we're like, oh, like, remember that Tuesday evening when it was raining and this magical fairyland thing happened and it was so great, and you just have all these memories pop up and, oh, was it really that bad? Like, did he really mean that? Maybe he didn't know. You like make all these excuses for him, and it makes you question what was really going on, which is basically nothing. And so if you journal about it and just be like, hey, these are the reasons why it didn't work out. He didn't want to commit to me. He had 3 other girls on the side that he was doing whatever with, that maybe he had anger issues and that scared you. Maybe he was just leeching off of you. Maybe he was taking your money and having you pay all his bills, and who knows what the situation could be. But just journal about why it's not working out, and then also about what you didn't like about him. I know it sounds kind of harsh, but it helps a lot. And if you just put it on paper and can see it, then you're not going to highlight the maybe like 2 actual good traits that you did think about him. You're going to think more about the, oh yeah, like he wasn't very driven. Like maybe he didn't really do anything. Or again, maybe he was really mean. Like maybe he was cruel and like cut you down and was really verbally abusive. Maybe he was physically abusive. There could be so many things. Maybe he wasn't very nice to his family or very nice to his coworkers. And so write that down, how unattractive that was to you, how hurtful that was to you, how much it just messed with your self-esteem, just all these things. Write it down on paper, and one that's going to help you just get it out. And then in the times where you're like, oh, like I really miss him, like blah, 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 just go back to that piece of paper and look at that and be like, ugh, like I don't miss that. Like I don't want anything to do with that. So that is number 3. Number 4, I said, is do not contact them. And if they try to contact you, either tell them you need space or that you just can't talk. And so I know a lot of times it's hard. At first, it's a form of a breakup, basically, without the initial title. And so that's never easy and that's never fun. And there's definitely going to be temptation to reach out to them, or if they text you, to answer them and have a conversation with them. But just don't. And you're not being rude by doing that. That's why I say have your conversation at the beginning to let them know your intentions. Just be the bigger person. Just let them know, like, I'm not interested in this any longer. And once you say you're not interested in it any longer, stick to that. I know there was a time in my life where I had to go through something like that with a guy, and I told him I was basically done. And of course, he tried reaching out to me and did the whole I miss you thing, all these things. And yeah, it was super tempting when he would text me and say these things, but I never responded. I didn't entertain it because I was like, I said what I said, and I meant what I meant. I'm not giving back into this because I know that there is a man out there who is 50 billion times better than you and that would treat me better than you, and I'm just over this. And I will say, I think that is what helped me move past it really quickly. I think it was maybe a couple months later, and I just didn't think about him at all. Like I just didn't, like I wish him well, but I just didn't care. And if I would have given in, or if you give in and you're just like, oh, like I'm doing great, how are you? Oh my gosh, do you want to meet up? Do you want to come over? Don't do it. Don't do it. If you have to delete his number, do it. If you are out with your girlfriends, unless you're drinking, if you're one of those girls that drunk text, I mean, just try to not be on your phone, or like I said, delete his number or something. Just do not contact him. And if he contacts you, don't talk to him. He had many chances, and just because you finally said what you really want and that you're not interested doesn't mean that he gets to just swoop his way in, because 9 out of 10 times he's gonna swoop his way in, and then maybe a couple days, 3 days, couple weeks, 3 weeks go by, he's gonna do the same thing that he has been doing this entire time. Do not believe what someone says. Believe their patterns. Believe what they have done over and over again, because that is what's most likely going to repeat itself. Number 5 kind of going back to the journal thing. So when you're journaling about why it didn't work out and what you didn't like about him, I say on a whole separate piece of paper, make a list of what you do want in your next relationship. Just relationship in itself. Maybe you want the guy to pursue you. You want the guy to state his intentions, what he's looking for out of this. Maybe you want the guy to take you on a date every week or just something like that. That's not a lot to ask for. In fact, I feel like that is what the standards should be, what we as women should be looking for in a man. And if a man is not willing to do that, then he is not worth your time. So just those little things, like write them down, maybe things that this situationship they're trying to get over, like things he was doing that you don't like. Maybe write like the opposite of that on what you do want in the future relationship. And also what you want in the guy. Maybe there's physical attributes, there's emotional things, there's personality things, just whatever you're actually looking for in your whole package guy. I mean, who knows who God is going to send you? He may not be exactly like that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with kind of setting an ideal, setting a standard, so to say, and maybe there's little tweaks, like maybe you really like dark hair and maybe your future guy is blonde or something like that. That isn't going to be a big deal. But if you just kind of put it on paper as far as what you want, you're so much less likely to settle for just kind of a little jerk that is just trying to swoop his way into your life and just mess with your feelings. And yeah, he's not worth that. So write those things down and stick to that. Number 6 I wrote is to find a new hobby and focus on future goals. When we're going through any sort of breakup, a lot of times sad emotions come with that. Naturally, you're sad because you're not in communication, hopefully, with this guy anymore. And yeah, that's the end of a relationship. And so with that, a way to distract yourself and just make yourself better in general is finding a new hobby. So maybe you've always wanted to know or to learn how to play an instrument, or maybe you've really wanted to get into a certain TV show, or maybe you wanted to learn how to skateboard or how to do your hair a certain way, or whatever it is. Just find those things to do and then go do them. And also focus on your future goals. Maybe you were in school before and you dropped out of school because you were emotionally not doing well and you couldn't really handle school, or maybe you had this business idea and you just kind of stopped working on it because of this guy, or maybe you had these great fitness goals and you just stopped going to the gym because, again, you were spending all your time with your guy, or this dude was just messing you up so much with your emotions that you didn't have the energy to go to the gym. Like, whatever it is, just refocus on those things, and I know that will help you a lot. Number 7 I wrote is to spend time with friends and family. This is another thing to kind of help distract yourself, but also make you feel better and just remind you of how amazing and special you are, because I know that you are. And just having that quality time with the people that you're closest to in your life can really help boost your mood and heal things going forward. And then lastly, I wrote is to pray for your healing. I know it sounds sometimes like almost a minor detail to our life, but God cares about everything. And if your heart is hurting over some dude that did not deserve those emotions, God is going to want to help you. He is there, he's listening, he's not surprised by the situation, he's not surprised that you've gone through it. He already knew that you'd be going through it and that it was maybe going to lead to heartbreak. And so I would just cry out to him and just pour your heart out to him and tell him what's going on and how it's making you feel, and just ask him to help heal you and ask him for direction. Maybe say a prayer for the guy just to like wish him well, but that his will be done in your life. And if that is without him, then to close that door and just remove all feelings you've had for the guy, and to be able to move forward and just be a better, happier, higher standard type woman version of yourself that I know God has created you to be. So that is my video on topic on how to move past a situationship. I hope this was helpful. and that you feel empowered to just drop the guy. The guy is not worth it. I promise you, there is a man out there who is 50 million times better than the situationship dude that you're in with, and that would treat you like an absolute queen. I know personally some of those men who are so good to women are just waiting for their future wife to be so kind to them and to girlfriend wife them up whenever both of them are ready. And so there are men like that out there. Remember that you have worth, that you are so special to God and so special to so many people. So just shower yourself in those sort of compliments, and I know that you will be over this guy in no time. If you like this video, do not forget to like it. And if you have a friend or a sister or coworker or anyone else that is in this sort of scenario right now and could use this video to help them with it, feel free to share it with them. And please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm really trying to get to the 1,000 subscriber mark, so that would really mean a lot. And lastly, if you'd like to follow me on my Instagram, that will be linked in the very last slide. Till next time, I hope you all have a really great day, and I'll talk to you later.